Sir Elton John, you've been following this battle for a long time. You say we're close. What's the biggest, what's your worst fear?
The worst fear is stigma, to be honest with you. We are seeing, especially in African countries, the LGBT community suffering under draconian laws. When people like that who are suffering from HIV are penalized, they go underground and the disease is spread even further. Stigmatizing people because they have HIV is the worst thing one can do. That's for me, the biggest problem that we face. Once we get people on drugs, it's fantastic. But getting people to feel unashamed, to feel they're okay with this virus, and not to feel as if they're being threatened by their own government because they may have a sexual orientation the leader of the government doesn't approve of, is incredibly important. Not only is it a humane crime, it is a medical crime as well. There's two sides to that coin. One, you're telling people that they're worthless, and two, people that are worthless who are sick, you're telling them they're not treatable. So you're driving them underground, you're making them feel worthless, and you're making... My whole thing with my organization, my foundation, is nobody should be left behind. Listen, we live in a world which is so materialistic, so narcissistic. The world needs compassion. The world needs leaders to show compassion. The current Pope is someone who I revere very much because he's beginning to show so much more compassion in a humane way than his two predecessors did. This is vital to the recovery of self-belief and self-worth in this world. If people are told they're worthless and they're unloved, then where are we as human beings? If Christ was alive today, and I believe in Christ, he would be appalled at the way that people are being stigmatized. We need people to be included, to feel love, and to feel compassion. Without that ingredient in this whole mixture of medicine and everything else, then we face an ongoing battle. So I really encourage governments throughout the world who are, saying that homosexuality is a sin and everything like that. They are making their disease worse in the long consequences for their country. Their economy is going to suffer, and the disease will spread even further. It's inhumane, and it's inhumane to people who are suffering from this disease.
From a private sector point of view, have you been able to still raise adequate amount of funds even though the economy's been crippled throughout the world? Are people still giving?
They are. We have many other rivals, and very, there's a lot of people suffering from many diseases. But as PEPFAR has done, it's treated malaria and TB, and it's the more you teach people to, as Rick was saying, to train people to train in countries where they haven't got enough medical staff. If you train people to look after people, in Africa, for example, when we started, people aren't used to taking a tablet, a pill. They're not used to that. Right. They're used to having their local traditional healer give them something. Right. So it's a matter of education. And I think once you tell people, if I have an event, if I tell people, look, here's what we're doing, we're going to build somewhere that's to educate people, or mothers-to-mothers transmission, and you can see that this is improving the knowledge of the disease and the treatment that you're going to give people, then people will dip into their pockets. And I think, when we started off with this disease, there were so many different foundations. There's not many standing, but we all work together. And I think we're a very strong force. And I think we're a force for good. And I think we had a meeting last night, and the camaraderie and the feeling I get from the American people is so touching. Yeah. You have to remember, I'm British. I've come over here in 1970, and this country gave everything to me as a professional musician, and it's given everything to me as a human being. And the strength and the willingness to help people in the rest of the world has touched me so much. It was Ryan White who pointed out to me that my life was completely disordered. I was a drug addict. I was a self-obsessed asshole, excuse me. And Ryan White and his wonderful family turned my life around because he was a young boy who had AIDS, he was hemophiliac. He was treated very badly by people who were ignorant and knew better, and he never got angry about it, and he forgave. We have to have compassion. We have to have forgiveness. We have to have inclusion of everybody, whether it's intravenous drug users, whether it's prisoners, whether it's people who are gay, whether it's transgender people. We are all human beings. We're all children of God. And if we throw that away, then we're throwing everything down the drain. So when I explain this to people, and people are good people, I believe in the goodness of the human spirit. And look at this room here, for example. We don't have any problems raising the money. It's a very long-winded answer to your question, but no, people are very generous. And if you explain to them where their money is going and you show them what it's doing, then they will dip into their pockets.
Thank you, Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr.